All right, Josh, the 1-3 Miami Dolphins versus the 1-3 Carolina Panthers. Exactly what we expected at this time of the season. Oh my goodness. These are two Jekyll and Hyde teams that are about to face off, and we are talking all about this matchup, including, once again, what is Miami's game plan post Tyreek Hill?
Oops.
All right, Fins fans, it's the 305 Gridiron. I, of course, am your host, Anthony Pinzone, alongside my boy Josh, aka Aqua Ace, to my left, right, whatever side you choose. That's what side he's on. Man, the Miami Dolphins got a win on Monday night. We talked all about it yesterday. You and I were joking before the show. This is the most we've done content-wise in 2 days since we started the podcast, because we had a Monday night game, and then our usual preview show comes on Wednesday, and here we are.
And a breaking news segment, too.
And a breaking news segment. We were going to talk about Tyreek again today because he is absolutely dynamic, and he deserves the screen time, which he's getting from more
everywhere
reputable sources.
Whoa. Wait a minute. We are about as reputable as it comes, sir.
Oh, how's it going tonight, George? Man, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us again. Great content putting out for George is putting out too. Just got done watching your video earlier today, George. Awesome stuff, buddy.
Really good stuff.
Keep on pushing it. And we will do the same. So, Dolphins, Panthers.
Yeah.
Preseason, we probably had this one circled as a win. I think largely today we'll see a positive attitude towards this game, given that we're coming off of a win. Emotions are high for fans as much as they are for the team. I know that there's a Tyreek Hill injury that we need to talk about, and that's emotional too. But I'd argue almost that the win, especially after such a rough start and all the questions and all the criticisms, the fight with Cam Newton, like all this stuff that's been going on, I got to figure that the relief from getting the win and getting over the hump is far greater than anything else.
Yeah. I think, one win is great, right? And I'm not downplaying the significance of getting your first win in the season. Again, like I said last show, I'm cautious to say we're back. I'm cautiously optimistic about this game. We should win. We should have beat the Patriots. We should have beat the Colts. So, I think if we can see my attitude towards this season will change drastically. For example, if we get a win against, Carolina, because that'll be 2 in a row. Hopefully we put a good showing on the field. I don't care if it's close or if it's a blowout. I just want this team to look competent. And that's something that it's going to take more than one game to get me off,
Yeah, and I mean, it begs the question, like, what does it even mean to be back? 2024 season was not up to par with what we expected from the 2023 season. And then 2025 started arguably even worse. So I don't know what the par is now. I know expectations for fans are that, hey, this regime has completely gutted and rebuilt this roster. Where's the results?
Yeah, and I will say this, right? And you and I talked heavily about this in the preseason when we were doing all of our preseason shows, roster analysis, grading the roster rooms, all that other stuff, or the position rooms. And it's something that I kind of got away from, which after the win, after rewatching the film, I got pulled back into, which is we have to remember that this team was the third or fourth oldest team in the league last year. And in one off season, we went to the fifth youngest or fourth youngest team in one off season. There is over 50%, I think close to 60% of this roster was turned over for youth, for new players getting brought in. And that takes a lot of time to gel. I mean, this isn't something we want it to happen overnight, but I think that we have to remember, as shitty as it is and as hard as it is in these losses, when these are winnable games, we have to remember that some of the blame, some of it, goes to this roster still trying to figure out how to play together. These younger players that we brought in, a significantly amount of young players that got brought onto this team, whether it be via the draft or via free agency or via practice squad signings or whatever the case is, that they need time to mature. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that there are any excuses. That's not a reason for us to play as poorly as we have been playing in some of these games, but it's something that I wanted to make sure I called out to our fans, to us, to you and I, because it's something that you and I talked heavily about in the offseason or in the preseason.
And I think it's worth mentioning, it's week 5. So those excuses are out the window now. I feel like week 5 and on, you can no longer be like, hey, we're still knocking the rust off. Right? I mean, the rush should be gone. And the gel still happens because they're new players and they're still figuring each other out and they're figuring systems out, especially guys who we brought on at the 11th hour like Rasul Douglas and Jack Jones. But I think the guys who have been here for training camp, mini camp, like, okay, it's time to put up.
Yeah, and what I'm talking about is not necessarily rust. It's actual young, immature players in the NFL trying to figure out how to play NFL ball. Yeah. But none of it's an excuse for how we've started the season. But we're not here to talk about what happened in the past. We're here to talk about, hey,
Fin Fan, hopping in. Welcome, buddy.
There he is.
Yeah, I want to talk future. We want to talk Carolina Panthers, and I want to preface this by saying this is the window that we've been talking about where we could recover emotionally. We can recover our record. we can recover as a team that is potentially playing for a playoff spot. Right now, talking playoffs at 1-3 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if we beat Carolina, and then Los Angeles lost 2 all-pro offensive tackles, they're looking vulnerable right now. Cleveland, Atlanta. These are 4 games that we are set up with good matchups in, and we are set up for potential wins. If we come out of this, 4-4 or 5-3 even, suddenly everybody forgets about the 0-3 start.
Yeah, and it drastically improves our 13.7% chance at making the playoffs.
Yeah,
as we stand currently.
Exactly. All right, let's get into our top 10 storylines to watch for the Dolphins-Panthers game in Carolina here on Sunday. I believe it's a 1 p.m. game. Yes. Miami heading up what is that highway there? They're heading up the throughway, let's call it. The turnpike. I-95. We're heading up I-95 to Carolina to face the Panthers, who have quite an up and down season. But this first one's about the Miami Dolphins. We're coming off an emotional win against a division opponent on Monday Night Football, where we lost arguably our best offensive weapon. To say emotions are high would probably be an understatement. How does this team handle that emotional high coming off the Jets and all the stuff that happened in that game, going into a game now? We can't go into this game thinking, we're back, we're going to win this one easy. Like, we need to find balance.
Yeah, honestly, I think we see a more competitive team in this game, because if you looked at what we put on the field in Buffalo, it evolved a little bit into what we put on the field against the Jets, and I see a trend, right? And I think there's going to be and I don't know how to describe it, but the team is going to try to rally around Tyreek Hill's injury and try to, you have players moving up on the roster. Wide receiver 2 is becoming your wide out 1, and so on and so forth, things like that. So I think hopefully Mike McDaniel continues to evolve his play calling and his schemes, and I think we're going to see probably a little bit more of a simpler game plan, which I think will benefit this team. More rollouts, more play actions, more run first to set up the pass. And I think we will see, and not to give any kind of spoiler alerts, but I do think we see some of the wide receivers flourish in their kind of new roles.
Yeah, I mean, the The bootleg play action worked so well
it's great,
against the
dude.
Jets. It worked so well in 2023. And it's just very confusing as to why we got away from a play that is essentially our bread and butter in favor of more screen passes, which let's not get into that. But it's like we have been begging this team to simplify. We have mentioned in our preseason content, in our postseason content last year, in everything that we've done. Everybody talks about coming into the system is difficult for new players because the scheme is very difficult. Well, I don't hear that about the Eagles or the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well,
and the last time I checked, they've won a lot of Super Bowls in the past few years.
Yeah.
So maybe simplify a little bit so that people coming in can pick it up a little easier, and the people who are already on the roster can football is going to be hard no matter what. So saying it's simple isn't really simple, but like I feel like when we've had this conversation a lot, Mike McDaniel likes to complicate stuff just to show that he can.
Yeah, and I think he looks at it as, okay, well, if it's complicated for me, and I'm obviously paraphrasing, right? If it's complicated for me, it's going to be complicated for the defense, and they're going to see they're going to have eye discipline, and we're going to send this guy over here, we're going to send this guy over here, and then this guy that went over there is going to come over here and do a pirouette and a backflip, and then high five Tua and smack his ass as he runs by, and then Tua's going to do, and it's just like, but just put Tua at the shotgun or under center. Put your wide receiver 1 in your slot on this side. Put your tight end and your wide receiver 3 on this side. And run a fucking play. just
I mean, throw the ball. It sounds fantastic in theory and in the imagination and all of that stuff, but in reality, then you're not really utilizing your playmakers that much because you're doing all this trickery instead. I mean that's something I would expect from the team, our 1-15 season. Where we had no talent on the team. We had no choice but to do trickery and stuff back then. There's plenty of talent on this team. It doesn't feel like it's needed.
And I think that's what is making all of this so frustrating.
Yeah.
Is that irregardless of, I'm going to be careful how I word this, irregardless of how the cornerback room was put together, right? Because I do think there's talent in that room. Right. NFL high quality talent, that's a discussion, but there is talent in that room. They are NFL players, right? They're not high schoolers.
Yeah.
I think what makes this season so frustrating is that this team is talented. They have talent at positions, regardless of what the royal you feels of Tua. Tua's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, but he's a good quarterback. Our wide receivers are good. Our running backs are great. Our offensive line is good. Our defensive line, before the season, we thought they were a top 5 unit. Our linebackers are good, so on and so on and so on. We have Minka in the safety room. There is talent across this team. Yeah. What's frustrating about everything is that they haven't been able to put it together yet. And I think you can see a trend. I'm going to turn this conversation a little positive, starting in the Buffalo game where you went up against a juggernaut. Irregardless of how we feel about Buffalo, they are one of the top 3 teams in this league, and it's not close. And we put them on the ropes, right? It took us melting down in the fourth quarter to beat ourselves, essentially, right? And then you look at the game against the Jets. The Jets, for all jokes and all dumpster fire conversations aside, they are a tough out, right? I mean, they lose a lot, but they're a tough out. And so you could see the offense and the defense gaining steam in Buffalo. They transitioned that into the Jets game, and there was some really good film. I rewatched all the film in all 22. So the Jets game, there was some phenomenal tape. There were some bonehead things, but there was some phenomenal tape. And the hope is that you continue that trend into this Carolina game, which is very winnable. And you continue that into the next couple games, the LA game. And I think you said Atlanta, Cleveland, Atlanta. Or is it Atlanta, Cleveland, whatever it is?
We have Carolina, LA, Cleveland, Atlanta.
Yeah. So, I mean, Cleveland's going to be tough. Atlanta's not going to be an easy out because what do we struggle with? The run, right? So it's going to be, I need to see progress, and I think we will. I really think that this is going to be one of those come out games for the season for Miami against Carolina. I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, speaking of talent, let's move on to number 9 in our top 10 storylines for the Dolphins versus Carolina Panthers. Week 5 already. Jesus, the season goes way too fast. Mm-hmm. We're talking Tyreek Hill's injury and the adjustments to the receiver room. Tyreek Hill accounted for 24% of the targets from the Miami Dolphins so far this season. That is a huge gaping hole opening up on the offense now that somebody needs to account for. I think the obvious choice that we've talked about in yesterday's shows is, expectations that Waddle will step up. Waddle is already handling about 20% of the targets himself, so a small bump there I could see. Achane, again, a small bump. But who we're really looking at here, right, is the guys who aren't household names. Which one is going to set up? Is it going to be Malik? Is it going to be Eskridge, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine? Like, we have another Washington. We have Taj Washington. Like, who, or is it one of the tight ends? Does Jaylen Waddle play a more significant role in the offense? Like, are these targets getting spread amongst 4 or 5 people? Or is Tua just finding another favorite and saying, here, bro, your percentage just went from 5 to 20. Like,
right.
Here's your opportunity. Now put up.
Yeah, and I think that's a really, really great way to approach this topic, right, about Tyreek Hill's injury, because it's not how I was going to approach it, but I love this, and I think this is it goes from a singular player to a committee, and I think it has to, because I don't think, as much as I love Waddle, and you know this, I think Waddle's the number 1 wide receiver. You are more on the fence, but even I don't think Waddle can handle the volume that Tyreek Hill was getting. He's not that type of player, right? And I think because it has to then spread out to multiple players, I think that makes our offense more dimensional than, okay, we're going to put our best wide receiver on, or our best cornerback on Waddle. We're going to double or triple Tyreek Hill and go ahead and try to beat us. And we weren't able to. I think now teams have to play all across the board, because we're going to have to spread it out. I think we will see a bump in Waddle in his target shares and his stats. I think we will see a bump clearly in Achane's and Ollie Gordon's and Malik Washington, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I think I think he's technically wide receiver 3, but slotting in as the wide receiver 2, because I think Washington needs to remain in the slot. So I think all of those things. Darren Waller, I think he's going to get a decent amount of volume, right? He should see the type of share that he had in the Jets game, right? Where I think he was targeted 5 times. I think he had 3 receptions for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, that is kind of what not the stats. I don't think he gets 2 touchdowns every game. And if he does, awesome. Right. Yeah. But yeah, no, this is definitely gone from you're our guy, we're going to force feed it down your throat, and Tyreek Hill, to, okay, now we're playing as a team,
Yeah. I mean, and it's going to be, so far the offense has been left a lot on the field, I should say. I think that's how I want to word it. I know we're 22nd in pass attempts
that's crazy
this season, and Tua is averaging 188 yards per game. I mean, there's just not a lot to go around right now, and it's kind of insane in his penultimate year, which was 2023, which we talk about a lot. I mean, he threw 4,800 yards. I don't know how many yards it is per game, but I would bet you it's a lot more than 188.
I think he averaged 320 or something like that. It was something like that. It was crazy.
And I don't care that much if the running game is being counted on, but it's really not. Like, it is and it isn't, because we're not getting the production or the scoring and all of that stuff out of the running game that you expect if your team runs that heavily. Like, if you told me that the Ravens have less pass attempts than us, I'd be like, well, yeah, because Lamar and Derrick Henry are running it up the other team's throat, right? Like, we're not seeing that same thing. We don't have the fewest attempts because Tua and Achane are running it up the other team's throat.
Right.
I definitely want to see. I want to see more. I want to see more big plays out of this pass, and I think that's a lot to ask when you lose your big play maker. But teams are now expecting that all you're going to do is dink and dunk. Oh, you don't have Tyreek? All you're going to do is dink and dunk. We're not even going to drop a single safety because we don't think you're going to throw it deep anyways.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, and I do think that, players are going to have to step up. They're going to have to put on their hard hat, I hate using this analogy because I feel like it's so overplayed, but put on your hard hat, grab your lunch pail, and go do your 111th, right? Which I think is something that it's a saying, that do your 111th, that you and I talk about a lot, because I think what happens when a player tries to do too much is that you get on the defensive side, for example, you get out of position. On the offensive side, a la Tyreek Hill has done so far this year in a lot of cases, is you try to run a different route. When you just stay on your route, this is a timing-based offense. You need to be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. Yeah. And I think if you remove that boomer bust potential with Tyreek Hill, all of the other players play the way they're supposed to, seemingly. Yeah. So I think it is going to be. I think we are going to see a better product, and I hate to say this because losing a top 5 wide receiver in the league, a top 6 wide wherever you put Tyreek Hill, is never easy to replace. Yeah. But I think we're going to see a better product. Will we be more successful? That's to be TBD. However, we will see a better team, if you will, performance, because we're going to have to be a better team to replicate what we've lost.
Yeah, and this is kind of my line of thinking here. Frozen Finn fan says that I know this seems counterintuitive, but with Reek out, look for more air opportunities. Yeah. And I agree, because Tyreek is a threat every single play that defenses have to account for. Mm-hmm. Now that we don't have that, we have to show them that they have to account for it. So I 100% agree with this. This I pray for every single day. Yeah. George says, I really want to see Coach McDaniel game plan for the Panthers on Sunday with Hill gone and Waddle taking charge. Someone else needs to lead. Literally pray for this every single day, that we are going to see significant adjustments from our head coach when something on the team is significantly different, like losing your wide receiver 1.
Which we can all be honest with ourselves, right? Hasn't happened yet. No. So this is going to be really interesting. And I could not agree with this take more.
No. Yeah. This is the determining factor as to whether or not the next regime, assuming this one gets fired, which we don't know that yet, but let's assume for a second, this is the determining factor in whether or not the next coach is, yep, I will try to make Tua work with that huge contract, or not, let's eat the 30 to 40 mil and we'll rebuild, and we'll just eat it now and deal with it later, you know?
Yeah. And not to get too much into Tua's contract, but irregardless of what we decide to do, he's going to be on the team next year.
No.
I broke down all of his cap stuff because I'm a nerd. He has to be on the team next year. However, we'll be able to move on from him the following year with a reasonable cap hit. So it'll be really interesting if wide sweeping changes are made. Is Tua benched, right? Even though he's making we're paying him $35 million. Is he going to be benched for a rookie or somebody else, right?
Kirk Cousins is on the bench and he's making 46 or something like that. So
exactly. That's fair. That's fair.
All right. Fair. Speaking of quarterbacks, though, that's a good segue into number 8 on our top 10 storylines for Dolphins, Carolina Panthers, Week 5 matchup. The Panthers' Bryce Young has been just about as much of an enigma as Tua. I mean, Jesus Christmas, this dude is either really hot or really cold. I don't know which Bryce Young is going to show up. He literally just got smacked around by the Patriots like it was their job. Even in the game where they beat the Falcons 30-0, Bryce only had 120 yards passing. Like, I do not know what happened to the Bryce Young that finished last season so strong, but he doesn't appear to be here this year. And what's even worse is that he's not really using his legs like he should to help extend plays. I think it was something like he only has 10 rushes for 50 yards or something like that. Yeah, 10 for 53. So not even extending plays. I mean, speaking of teams with a quarterback identity issue, we're facing one across the field from us this week.
Yeah, and it's concerning, right? Because Chuba Hubbard is a phenomenal running back. I mean, I don't think he's a top 5 running back, but he's a really, really solid running back. And even his production is so bad. Yeah. And I think it all stems from the quarterback because, to your point, 10 rushes on the year, 53 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 2 fumbles lost. So that's probably making him a little apprehensive to run.
Yep.
But then you look at his quarterback stats, and not to get numbery here because we try to avoid too much of that. So we don't want to bore you guys. But 114 attempts on the year, 69 completions, 60 completion percentage, 600 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, this is a very vanilla kind of stat line, right?
It's wildly similar to Tua's.
Yeah.
If you look at Tua's stat line, it's like these guys are going head to head.
No, exactly. And this is Tua's probably one of his worst years, right? And I don't know, man. I just he's taken 5 sacks. I don't think he trusts, he's 5 sacks and he's lost on those sacks 44 yards. And I just don't know. Very similar to Tua. And obviously we're reading between a lot of lines here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a lot of mistrust in that offensive line, and understandably so, right? And his wide receivers, Tet McMillan is a problem. Still a rookie though, so you can only expect so much. You have who was the guy that they took last year, the wide receiver? I can't remember his name. Leggett, yeah, Xavier Leggett. He hasn't done anything, right?
Four catches. Yeah,
I mean, so they have a really good, a really big fan of their tight end. Of course, now
Tremble.
I'm blank. Nope, the other guy,
Sanders.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he's going to be a problem for us, right? I mean, I could see a week 1 type tight end production from him because we can't cover tight ends. No, and he's big and he's fast and he can catch. So, but we're not talking about him. We're not talking about the whole team. We're talking about Bryce Young. I think if we can continue to evolve as we did from the Bills game to the Jets game from a defensive standpoint, with multiple turnovers, with consistent pressure, not constant, relatively consistent pressure. If we can just play our version of defense, I think this could get ugly for Bryce Young because I don't think he trusts himself.
Yeah, it's a sad story. I love quarterbacks in the NFL, and I love following their story. So anytime there's one that's like everybody hates for no reason sort of thing, I really just I root for them more, I think. And Tua is one of them. Bryce Young is one of them. Ironic. I think they're both from the same school, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. That's enough about Bryce Young. We have our own quarterback problems to deal with. But the one last thing I'll say on that is hopefully our defense can just get some pressure on him, right? Tet McMillan is his only target. If you look at the stats, he cannot complete a pass to anybody else but Tet. Just cover Tet. Put Rasul on Tet. Give him a man over top. Give him Minka over top. And just let everybody else play, right? Yeah. Like, I don't think we need to make it super complicated here.
It really doesn't need to be. No. I think you just outlined the perfect game plan, right? Just have Rasul shadow Tet, have a safety, either one over the top, and then just let everyone else cover everyone else, right?
Yeah. Shout out Blake. Thanks for joining, dude.
Hey, Blake.
Good to see you. Frozen before that, he said there's a good chance I think this is talking about McDaniel staying. He's called 2 great games in a row. 2 great games in a row is not enough for me to come off of my soapbox for having him fired. The defense, I just said this, George, great minds think alike here. He's not Justin Fields. In fact, probably not even half. So if we can keep him contained and rattle his cage a little bit, this is the type of quarterback where you need pressure up the middle because he won't know what to do.
Yeah, and you need to get to him early. If you can rattle him in the first quarter, this game is done.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's move on to number 7. We're going to talk about the Carolina Panthers yet again because this is an interesting team. We don't see the Panthers often. I feel like, this is the last time we're going to talk about the Panthers, maybe for like another 4 years, which is kind of crazy.
Which is nuts.
So their coach is Dave Canales. This is the second year in the system. They have the same offensive coordinator. They have the same defensive coordinator. So there's some consistency and continuity in the team for the first time in a long time under David Tepper, who is the owner of the team. They have gone through a lot of
more than us.
Yeah. So, what does that mean for their team? And we just talked about how they're not playing particularly well, but there's certainly improvements. That 30-0 game against a division opponent stands out to me as an incredible feat. Shutting out an opponent, let alone a division opponent, that was nuts.
Yeah, I think year 2 is where you start seeing the evolution of a coaching staff, right? You have this is the for all intents and purposes, year 2 of the implementation, the scheme implementation rather, on both sides of the ball. And where I don't know too much about Brad Idzik, I think is how you pronounce his last name, who's their OC.
We'll say yes.
Yes, let's go with that. Their defensive coordinator, Avero, I'm not going to not going to try to pronounce his first name. Ejiro
Probably
Evero.
a Euro, right? Isn't J a Y in Spanish? Yeah.
Let's go with that. I'm actually a big fan, right? I think he brings some really interesting diversity to his schemes, right? He plays kind of a multi-front, in a lot of cool transitional stuff, which can give teams some trouble. I can't speak much more than that because admittedly, I don't follow Carolina, shockingly. So, I do think year 2, you usually start to see a tick. And then year 3, if the coaching staff sticks together, that's when you see things really start to solidify and come together. And this is a decently okay head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator pairing. They just need to get better players.
I mean, what I do know is that Dave Canales revitalized Baker Mayfield's career when it was dead in the water. I mean, he was on his 4th team in 4 years or something like that. And now he is lights out.
He's amazing, dude. He's so good.
And he hasn't had the same effect on Bryce yet, but we know he's a good coach. So, I won't be surprised if this game's a lot tougher. I think that's what I take out of the continuity of coaching and who the coaching staff is.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's move on to number 6. We're going to talk about our Miami Dolphins offensive line. This is a favorite topic amongst fans here at the 305 Gridiron. Before we get into the offensive line play, though, I forgot to ask you all for your predictions for this game. So please, before we get into number 6 on our top 10 countdown, hit us up in the chat with your X factor, your bold prediction, and your final score. If you are listening to this after the show, please put it in the comments below. We want to hear it. We got 4 whole days till the game, so you got time. Get your prediction down below. Your X factor is somebody who has an absolutely incredible impact on the game. Your bold prediction is something incredibly bold that's difficult to accomplish. That's why it's bold. It shouldn't be anything that's like,
make it bold, make it bold, make it spicy.
Yeah, Waddle's going to have 100 yards. Oh, great. Way to go bold. No, that is not bold enough. Waddle's going to have 150 yards and 50 rushing yards. That's bold, baby.
Hey. Don't steal my X factor.
I know I don't have it's not your prediction. Get it together. And then give us your final score as well in the comments below or in the chat if you're here with us live. Appreciate you all. See you, George and Frozen Fins fan and Blake. I appreciate you guys joining us here live. So, number 6, offensive line stability for the Miami Dolphins is the storyline we're talking about here as we preview the Dolphins-Panthers Sunday matchup. The offensive line has not allowed a sack in 2 games. That's an incredible stat given how bad the first 2 games were. So with Hill out, our pass protection obviously is even more critical. We do not have Tua's safety blanket with us anymore. Listen, the addition of Cole Strange was a fantastic one. I don't know his past as well as you probably do, but he bounced around a few teams, ends up in Miami, and starts within 2 weeks of arriving here. That's a pretty good sign right there. Keon Smith, the Drunskill or Drunkskill, whatever his name is,
Brunskill.
There you go. That's the name I was looking for. Yeah. And then
Dan Brunskill.
But that's the group I'm looking at, specifically the right side, looking at Borum on the right tackle, looking at Strange at right guard, who had a good first game. We know that the left side is fine. We know that our center is fine. How is Tua's blind side going to hold up?
Yeah, I actually really liked what I saw. I think this was the most complete performance that our offensive line has produced this season. And I don't think that's coincidental, right? Because I think Cole Strange was a first-round pick from the Patriots 2 years ago. He was touted kind of coming into the league, a little bit of draft talk, sorry guys, touted as more of an interior offensive lineman, even though he played tackle in college. He kind of bounced around. He has versatility, which is why he was so popular. I was a fan of his coming out of college. The Patriots drafted him and proceeded to put him at left tackle, and then right tackle, and then back to left tackle, and it was a shit show. And I think this is the epitome of talented young player needed change of scenery to kind of have it all come together. And I'm not saying he's there yet. It's one game. Let's be realistic. I'm not saying I'm not saying he's an all pro, but when I went back and watched the film for the show and watched the all 22 and focused on the offensive line and Frozen Fin fan, I know you're an offensive line guy, so maybe you can chime in the chat. I liked what I saw out of him. Jonah, his PFF grade was horrible again, but I liked what I saw. There was an evolution to the rookie's game. I loved what I saw out of Patrick Paul. I liked what I saw out of Brewer, except for that one snap. So the offensive line is starting to evolve and starting to gel together. And I think this is a perfect game. You're away from home, kind of, you're coming off of a win. This is a game. This is a statement game for the offensive line. Keep Tua healthy so that he can spread the ball around. And I think they will. I don't think Tua gets sacked this game.
It really helps that, 7 is surrounded by Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer.
Helps.
I think
it sure does.
It helps cover up mistakes, even if he's having a bad day. And I don't have PFF subscription, so I don't never know what those scores are. But I think
it wasn't good.
One thing we called out in the preview, though, that I was really worried about was the fifth man rush. It was something that we kind of struggled with, and we were dynamite in this one.
Yeah,
I made a point to kind of watch like when the Jets were doing their fifth and sixth man rushes, and we picked it up just fine. Devon Achane, like, get it, boy. Yeah. That dude has incredible pass protection for a small guy. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was big boy football. It really was.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, that's our. Let me just run down the bottom 5 storylines here for our matchup against the Carolina Panthers. Overcoming the emotional high versus the Jets. We can't come into this one thinking, "Hey, we won a game. We're badass now." No, you're not. Shut up. Tyreek Hill's injury and the receiver room adjustments. Who is going to step up? 24% target share now available. Somebody's got to grab that. Dual threat pressure of Bryce Young. He is having a down year, but we have seen him perform before. So which Bryce Young are we going to get? They are home. Remember that. We're traveling to them.
Yes.
The continuity of the coaching staff in Carolina, I think, was a big storyline for that team this year. It's a big deal for that team. Will that have an effect in this game? And then, of course, this will definitely have an effect. The stability of Miami's offensive line, back-to-back good games. Can we see a third in a row?
Yeah, and please tell us your thoughts, right? 10 through 6. If you have any opinions, please share them. We do this show for the fans. So all of your takes, good, bad, or indifferent, put them in the chat, put them in the comments. We love to see them. Number 5, right? Let's flip the table from you to me. So number 5 of our top 10 things to watch in this Carolina-Miami game. Ground game as a safety valve. Right? So Hill's injury, right, changes a lot of things. And without Hill in the game, the hope is that we lean on what our strength is as an offense, which is the run game. Devon Achane, Ollie Gordon, clear RB1, RB2 becomes the focal point. Do you think that the run game takes off early, or do you think it takes the whole game for it to show up?
I think the offense needs to run to revolve around Devon Achane.
Run through the run game, no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. No, I think it needs to revolve around Achane. And I love Ollie Gordon. I think he has an absolute role on this team as a short yardage back that needs to get those tough yards.
Yeah.
But Achane is a significantly better player. And he's in his, 4th year or something like that. He has proven his big playability. He is a weapon in the passing game. He's a weapon in the run game. I think that whatever we do, it needs to be Achane. And enough with the flat throws, though. I hate that screen
I can't
play.
stand him, dude.
It gives the corner the ability to just run full speed and blow up your freaking running back. Do you want another injury? Like, I hate that play so much. But yeah, I do think it's a safety valve. I do think that we need to stick to what we're good at. You mentioned this on the reaction show. We went away from doing the stretch runs, even though they were working so well. We went away from the movement handoffs that we were doing, where Tua would run with Achane before pitching it to him. Like, those things were working incredibly well. Yeah. And then we just stopped doing them for no good reason. I don't know. So, yeah, I think we can lean on the run if we do what works for our running game. But if we're going to try smash mouth through the A gap, it's not going to work out for us.
Yeah, I think I agree wholeheartedly with you. I think this team lives and dies by our run game, right? I think it's very interesting when you look at how the games have progressed throughout the year, right? From week 1 to now, you can see this team is starting to lean more and more on the run game. And to your point, I love Ollie Gordon's role in this. Yeah. Lower red zone, into the end zone, it's pretty much all Ollie Gordon. And as a Devon Achane owner, it sucks because I want him to get touchdowns, and I think he still has the ability to put his shoulder down, put his head into someone. But we're talking about 100 and I don't know what Achane is, 180, 195 ish pound back versus a 220 plus pound back in Ollie Gordon. And I think they feed off each other, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see because, to your point, once the ground game gets going, then everything else opens up. The offensive line, and we talked about this on the reaction show for the Jets.
Yeah,
we started running the ball early, which allows our offensive linemen to get into the groove of the game. Because when your offensive linemen get to stay on the tip of their toes and go north and south, as opposed to just running back and having to pass protect early and often, I think running the ball allows your offensive line to get the blood flowing, to get all the jitters out, which then proceeds to allow you to open up a lot more in the passing game because they're warmed up faster than the defensive lines are. And I don't know. I just, Devon Achane is now, I think it's real safe to say, our most talented player on the team. Yeah. So naturally you want him to get more carries or more touches, whether it's in the passing game or the rush game.
It was a beautiful thing seeing the run set up the pass in this Jets game. I mean, I was just waiting for it all season. It was great.
Yeah, it really was. All right, number 4. Secondary matchups. All right, hold your breath, everyone.
Oh, Jesus.
Secondary matchups, right? So on Carolina side, I know J.C. Horn got a massive extension, right? Which
they have Mike Jackson on the other side.
Yep. Miami, Miami needs to attack them because I think we have better wide receivers than they do cornerbacks. That's not a slight on J.C. Horn. I think he's a very good cornerback. But I think what he struggles at is what we do well, in my opinion. And on the flip side, our cornerbacks are who they are. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think on let's start with our defense first. I talked about it before. I think the main focus has to be Tet. He's very clearly their Bryce's favorite target, their number one receiver. They do have some other smaller weapons. I mean, Hunter Renfrow is a talented receiver who's just trying to come back to football after some serious health issues that he faced. Obviously, Xavier Legette, I think, was a second-round pick, so there's some talent there. And then, of course, you mentioned Jatavian Sanders as the tight end. We struggle mightily against tight ends, but that's more of a linebacker issue than a corner issue.
More personnel issue.
I think Rasul and Jack Jones have been, more they play with us, the more impressive they have gotten. Mm-hmm. They have taken ownership of this defense. They have made plays. They are not perfect. They are not elite, but they are making enough plays so that we are not getting absolutely shredded every time the quarterback drops back to pass. And I love that. That's all we need.
That's all we need.
That's all we need. On the other side of the ball, I think you're right. I think we need to attack them. I think we cannot let Tua sit back there long enough for their pass rushers to get to him. And I think their pass rushers are hungry. They only have 2 sacks on the season. Derek Brown does not have a sack. That boy hungry. He's coming for Tua. Right? So I think that we really need to use our bootlegs, especially. We need to use, we saw it this game. We talked about it last game, and we saw it. We saw the leak of the tight end. We saw the leak of the running back, where they just stay in for a second for a block and then leak out and they're wide open. It worked so well. Our guys are so talented. It drives me crazy when we don't do little stuff like that because, Julian Hill was one of them who got who went out on a leak and he got 26 yards or something like that. It was I just want to see more of the simple offense to take advantage of a defense that, for all intents and purposes, the defense is struggling.
Yeah, it has some questions.
Take advantage. Yeah,
yeah, and you look at Waller's second touchdown. That was a very simple 2 tight end, up and over. I mean, they were both open. Tua had. Yeah, he could have chosen who he wanted. He chose Waller, but Julian Hill was open with nobody around him.
That's the sticks concept, right? You make the linebacker choose one. Yeah.
Yep.
They just so happen to both be open,
which is great, but that's what we talk about when you and I, we say it in different ways, but we say it a lot. Line your 11 up and just let your players play football. Stop with the overcomplicated 17 motions. Sometimes just go back to flag football, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? Keep it simple, stupid. All right. So before I move into the top 3, 3, 2, 1, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. What are your thoughts about the ground game? Our ground game specifically, the significance that it plays. What are your thoughts?
Tonight.
Huh?
They're quiet tonight. I don't think they like these topics so far. Hopefully the top 3 gets them up out of their seats.
You know what? They're not quiet. They're saving themselves for the final 3.
Oh, is that what they're
That's
saving?
What it is.
They're saving themselves for predictions, probably.
That's what it is. Perfect. But let us know. Is the ground game gonna lead to are we gonna feed off the ground game? How do you think the cornerbacks and safeties are gonna do on both sides? Number 3, discipline and penalties. I'm gonna say that one more time for those in the back. Discipline and penalties. Miami has struggled. We all know this with penalties earlier, in the season, and even in the Jets game. In tight road games, you cannot beat yourself. Talk to us.
I mean, the Monday night matchups were just atrocious from a referee perspective in general. So the 2 combined games had 37 penalties, which is egregious. Like, what is happening right now? Somebody did not tell the refs that the prime time was meant for the players, not the referees. That being said, we just have so many boneheaded plays that drive me crazy. Like when we get the random hold down the field on a corner, I understand because our corners suck. When we get a pass interference because whatever, okay, I get it. When we get like 3 offensive holdings, a false start, an 2 illegal man downfield, like all of these like pre-snap penalties, I'm just like, what the hell are we doing, guys? Get it together. Yeah. The encroachment on Sealer again, like I just don't understand, man. I am game for 5 to 7 penalties a game. I figured that's the norm, right? We get 5 to 7 penalties a game. That's just
shouldn't be the norm, but that's the norm.
I mean, I think that's the norm for everybody, really, except for the favorites. The NFL's got favorites. Don't let them tell you they don't. Listen, I think your point in the show notes is very valid. It's going to be a tight road game. I don't think this is going to be like the Patriots walloping of the Panthers last week. A turnover could swing momentum, and we could very well lose this game if we don't buckle up and get the penalties under control, get the discipline under control.
Yeah, exactly.
It's as losable as a game as it is a winnable game.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, and again, we're going to sound like a turnstile here that we keep talking and going back to the same point, but this is why you don't overcomplicate your offense.
Yeah.
Because you have, again, we went from the 3rd or 4th oldest team to one of the top 5 youngest teams in one off season. You cannot overcomplicate your offense for young players. You have to, in some way, shape, or form, make it simple. Whether it's, I'm not saying your whole offense has to continuously be easy and simple, but this is what causes we shoot ourselves in the foot because we are overly engineered. Mike McDaniel has over-engineered this entire offense.
Oh, it's such a perfect term.
Yeah.
For 2 tech guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, quick shout out to Shane Smith. I haven't seen you on the show, but thank you so much. If you're a first-time viewer, first-time listener, for coming to see us, really appreciate the support. And you are talking to 2 people that agree with you. Maybe not
the owner, but we agree with the other one.
Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't say we, I will speak for myself. I think Ross is a very decent NFL owner. He does exactly what you want, keeps his mouth shut, writes his checks, goes away. It's his hiring. He hires shitty people and keeps them far too long. But yes, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining. Blake here, Xavier Howard retiring. What a joke. Yep. Well, I think they just brought him on so they could garner some information about us in week 1.
100%. Yeah.
Yep. And look who it is, Mr. Finspin. Welcome.
I like the Mad Greek better.
Yeah. And AVV, thank you again. I don't recognize you. Thank you if you're a first time viewer, thank you so much for coming and supporting us. And look, we're not negative. We're not overly negative. I'm sorry if it's coming across that way. We are trying to be as realistic as we can. Right. I think, I do think we win. Right?
Also happened to tune in at the only negative topic that we have on the entire show. That's funny.
Yeah. And I do get it, right? And it is tough, right? It is, before we go to the final two, it is hard to find silver linings when you start the season in the manner in which you do. But there has been clear growth from the Bills game to the Jets game, hopefully to the Panthers game, which, I believe there will be. You have seen this team kind of settle in and say enough's enough. They're still doing some shit that you wish they would stop doing, but that'll come. You know what I mean? All right. Number 2 out of our top 10 things to watch for the Carolina Dolphins game. Panthers defensive pass schemes, right? Their DC unit will try to confuse Miami's game without Hill, right? Our passing game without Tyreek Hill in it, because we have players that they're moving up in the pecking order. So do you think that they play a lot more press coverage? Do you think they drop back into more of a zone scheme so that Tua has to fit it into type windows? Like, what do you think an opposing team's defense does when the Dolphins against us, after we've lost our kind of number one wide receiver?
I think they blitz, and I think this is where our screen game may actually come into our benefit here.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to try to put pressure on Tua because Tua's safety valve is Tyreek Hill. And he knows where Tyreek's going to be at all times. He lets that ball go and knows that Tyreek is probably going to be there more often than not, but he is not there anymore. And we have seen Waddle step up for sure in the past when Tyreek was out, but it's interesting because he doesn't have the same relationship with Waddle as he used to. Yeah. Before Tyreek came, him and Waddle were on the same on the same molecular level. It was insane.
Crazy. Yeah.
They're not there anymore. I think the Carolina Panthers, their pass schemes are going. I think you put it really well in here. I think they're going to try to confuse Tua, and we've heard from a few corners that say take away his first read and he doesn't know what to do. And I think that's exactly what they're going to try to do. And I think that it's up to Miami to have what we did last week, and that there's an easy option when it happens, right? Use Darren Waller. Dude's freaking huge.
Yeah, he's massive.
Really easy target there if something were to happen, like a corner blitz or something that's unexpected. It's going to be important for Tua to do a lot of line work here. He's going to need to get up to the line. He's going to need to recognize the coverages. He's going to need to do all that stuff. But if he gets it wrong, there needs to be a safety valve. There needs to be an out. Maybe it's Achane. Maybe it's Waller. I don't know. Just don't throw it to him every play. That's the ticket.
Yeah, that's the ticket. Spread it out. Keep them guessing. And really, I have nothing else to add. That was a perfect. I mean, you nailed it, right? So let's go to the number 1 to our top topic of our 10 things to watch in this game. Woo. Season implications and momentum. We're 1-3. We can't afford to slip back, right? We cannot afford to continue to lose. We're coming off a moral victory. We're coming off of an actual victory. We're coming off of a defensive and offensive performance that you can, as a Dolphins fan, say, okay, I saw some really, really good stuff. Is this considered a statement game? Should it be considered a statement game?
No. A statement game is against a team you're not supposed to beat, not against a team you should beat. I think if we beat the Chargers, that could be a statement game. I think we face a hell of a lot of options that could be considered statement games after our little 4-game set here, where we have teams like, Baltimore and Buffalo again. We face Washington. Those are statement games. What this says to me, if we win this one the way that we should, is that the team is responding to the coaching still, that the team is still bonded together, and that the first 3 weeks of the season were a hiccup, and we're starting to move in the right direction. Now, you and I have been still very negative isn't the word, but questionable. But we've questioned a lot of things that have happened on this team. We've questioned a lot of the decisions by the coaching staff, by the Chris Greer. I think the roster doesn't have the talent level it needs to in terms of depth. But man, if we can get on a streak, I think it starts here. We've survived against the Jets, and I'm saying survived because that team was let back into the game.
Yeah.
We need to not survive this one. We need to take the next step, which to me is a decisive win by 10 points or more, and do our job, get out of there, get back to Miami, and then get prepped for the next team.
Yeah, and I know. I think I am going to call this a statement game of sorts for
Ooh.
the exact reason that you just said,
Mm.
right? It's time for this Miami Dolphins to show the talent level that it has, because I do believe this team has talent across the board. This is the kind of game, to your point, that don't just put your boot on their neck. Finish it. Don't let them back in the game with prevent defenses in the fourth quarter. Stop going away from what's working on the offensive side when your outside runs and your bootlegs and your short to intermediate level passing game has been killing that team all night. You miraculously go 3 plays in a row running Achane right up the center's ass, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's the kind of stuff I want to see stop, because this is a very winnable game against the team that has been struggling, has had some admitted very shiny moments, but less so than I guess they would hope for. And you have to win these kind of games, because, to your point, we have a series of games coming up that are relatively winnable. All of them, I think. Even Cleveland, I think, is very winnable.
Yeah,
and if you can,
Dylan Gabriel now, so I mean,
exactly right. And to your point, the LA game, offensive line is in shambles due to injury. You have Atlanta, who's been hot and cold. I mean, these are all games that are winnable, right? And if you can build the momentum from the Bills game, you saw the momentum carried over from the Bills game to the Jets game. I want to see it continue into this game and continue into the next game, because then you start to see the defense feeding off the offense and the offense feeding off the defense. And that's when a team can become pretty untouchable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think this says it all here. I think, Tua was having fun.
Yeah.
Other players on the team were having fun. When we start to have fun again, we start to play confident. We start to be a team that the fans can have confidence in. I don't have any confidence in this team yet. That's why I'm going into this game kind of skeptical. Like, yeah, we saw them beat the Jets, but we really saw the Jets beat themselves a lot too. So, yeah, we get the credit, and we deserve a lot of credit. We played very well for a lot of that game. But the Jets also did a very good job destroying themselves and imploding a lot of that game. So, great call out here by the Mad Greek. Great call out here. Go back to the Blake. Yep. Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's nothing negative about the truth. It's been a bad football team for 3 out of 4 weeks.
Yeah, sometimes the truth sucks, right? But I think, we on this show, for those of you that are new, we do believe in accountability, and I think with accountability comes harsh realities, right? And I don't think this team is as bad as the product that it put on the field in weeks 1 through 3, but I do think there still needs to be marketed improvement.
Thankfully, a lot of AFC teams are losing their quarterbacks and opening up the door for us.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Normally, I'm like, I want to face a team when they're strong. I don't care this year. I injure everyone.
I'll take anything.
I don't care. Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah. All right, everybody in the chat, follow suit with George here. We need your X factor, your bold predictions, and your final score for this game. We're going to go to George first, and then we'll go to Josh, and then we'll go to me. But Josh and I will do one at a time, so you guys have time to put your responses in the chat. George has us winning this game 35-17. If we score 35 points, sir, I will buy you a beer. The X factor is Achane rushing for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the bold prediction is that Tua throws for 3 touchdowns and 325 yards. Not just that, though. He gives us 2 more bold predictions. Waddle gets 10 catches for 125 and 2. Waller gets 6 catches for 65 and 1.
I'll tell you what.
If we have an offensive performance like that, Josh is going to have to send an ambulance to my house.
No,
okay.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna need some cold water before I can stand up and make that phone call.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope so. I hope George is right. Those are amazing predictions. Thank you so much, George, for sending in your X factor, your bold predictions, and your final score. So now it's up to me and Josh and anybody else who wants to chime in the chat.
Yeah, throw them in the chat.
Please throw it down there. All right, Josh, going to you for your X factor for this one. Who do you see making the biggest impact for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think. And George, you kind of stole my thunder here, right? But I think Jaylen Waddle has a big game, and I have him slotted for 140 all-purpose yards. Whether that's in the run game, the jet sweeps, the whatever, right? The deep passes. I think he's not going to get a shitload of volume, but when he does get it, he's going to make the most of it, and it's going to be a really good game for Waddle.
I see it as the offensive line. I'm looking at a third straight game without a sack. I think they're the most important piece to us winning this game. So if the offensive line can come in here and play well, if we can continue to see improvements in Savannah, if we can see another good game from Cole Strange, if Larry Borum could at least get a fingertip on another player, that would be something. I think not allowing a sack for a third straight game would mean that we probably played pretty well. We probably did enough to win this game.
I need to time us out for a second because look who joined us in the chat after a long hiatus of not seeing Cap for Life in the chat. Welcome back.
You're alive.
Here he is. Or she. I don't really know. Sorry. There they are. Whatever. Yeah.
Welcome back, Cap for Life. And then the Mad Greek says his name for the new receiving core is Waddle and the Dread Presidents because of the Washingtons. That's hilarious.
I love that. I might be stealing that for my fantasy football team.
I was just thinking that, like, fantasy team name coming in hot right there.
That's amazing.
All right, dude. I will do my bold prediction first, then throw it back to you. I am going with a defensive slugfest. I don't think that either team gets over 200 yards total offense in this game. And my final score actually does align with my bold prediction this time, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, I think that this is going to be more of a defensive battle than people think. Struggling offenses, defenses with talent that's been underperforming. I think this is the game where both teams' defense starts to put up. Yeah.
I love that. Not for viewership reasons, but I think, that's probably more realistic than mine. But I honestly think Tua's going to have a hell of a game. I think this is the game of the season that we're like, oh, okay, he's back. Into, I think it was George's point, or who said Tua's having fun again? Is it Finspin? Yeah,
the Mad Greek.
Yeah, Mad Greek. I have Tua accounting for 4 touchdowns, 3 passing, 1 rushing.
4 touchdowns.
Yep.
I almost missed that. I almost had a panic. Not a panic attack. I almost passed out.
Yeah, I have him for 3 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown.
Insane. Yep. Insane. That's bold. That's very bold. We need a sound bite.
Yeah, very bold.
All right, so my final score does align with my bold prediction. I think the final score is Dolphins 17, Panthers 13. Yes, I did change my final score from our original prediction in the preseason. This is my first time changing my final score. I think Dolphins come out on top 17-13, although I'm hoping that it's a way, way better game than that.
You're hoping for my score. So
yes,
I have the Dolphins winning against the Panthers 31-20. And I think that also aligns with my predictions of Tua having a significant touchdown increase in this game and Waddle having 140 all-purpose yards.
Perfect. Let's check out the chat before we bounce here. Cap has been on a pilgrimage to where? Who the hell knows? He says he's a dude with a frustration over his Dolphins and his fantasy team. I can understand that second one greatly, especially in Josh's freaking dynasty league. Get my butt kicked every week. Maybe next year will be my year. If we only put up 17 after New England put up 40 plus, I'm gonna be very discouraged. I hate to break it to you, Blake. I think New England's offense is better right now. And they proved it because they beat us. So, unfortunately, Drake May is playing well. It's not something I ever want to admit to.
No, tastes like vinegar.
Yeah, not the good kind. Is there a good kind of vinegar?
Balsamic. Anyways.
Good call. Good call. We'll have to have.
I'm a trained chef, dude. I'm a trained chef.
We'll have to have an eating podcast at some point where we just eat and you guys will chat with you.
No, well, yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone wants to see me stuff a hamburger in my mouth, but yeah, let's
everybody
do it.
Wants to see that.
Let's fucking do it. We can actually shout out to Frozen Fins fan. We might steal something from your podcast. By the way, go out and check his channel out. It's absolutely phenomenal content. Where he posts the link to StreamYard inside the chat, and fans can just copy the link, jump on the StreamYard, and join us live.
Yeah, shout out. There's 3 of you in here who also have YouTube channels. And if anybody else has one that I'm missing, please let us know because we will shout you out. We are a small channel that are helping support other small channels. So Finspin has an amazing channel that's some of the most unique content I've ever seen. Like, he is going to blow up. He just needs that one viral video and he's gone. And he'll never visit us again.
So good. He'll forget about us.
He will forget about us. We, of course, have Frozen Fin Fan, supporter of the show. We have actually been on his show before, so if you didn't catch that episode, go check it out. We joined Frozen Fin Fan early on in our show's history. And then, of course, Sports Nights with George is also another new show out there. Fantastic content. So shout out to all 3 of you. doing great work out there. Thank you for coming in here and supporting us. Absolutely love having fellow Dolphins fans in here, because if you weren't here, then we're just talking to each other, and Josh is nice, but not that nice.
I'm an asshole. Just ask my wife.
All right, thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. We're going to shout you all out. Finspin, a.k.a. the Mad Greek, Cap for Life, making a return from his pilgrimage to the wonderland of who the hell knows where. Balak Guy, a.k.a. Balake. And then we, of course, had Frozen Finspan and Sports Night with George. We missed Abel tonight. Hopefully he's back with us.
Hopefully he's okay.
Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's back with us next week. But shout out to you guys for joining us on the show tonight. Of course, our next show will be on Monday night as you get our live reactions, not live, but you get our instant reactions to the Dolphins' hopefully victory over the Carolina Panthers. And I forgot 2 newcomers here. I'm going back to it. AVV and Shane Smith, thank you both for joining us for the first time. Yes, really appreciate you guys popping by. So that'll do it for myself, Anthony Pinzone, and Josh, a.k.a. Aqua Ace. This has been the 305 Gridiron. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, fins up, baby.